Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And I believe that's Mina down
So I've
there.
been reading through the lesson.
Oh, great. Which one are you on?
I finished 3.
Great.
I think that's all it's out there, isn't it? Just 3?
Oh no,
Yeah.
no. We're
Yeah.
out there.
Interesting.
We're on number 5 right now.
Uh-oh. I better look.
Well, you're probably on number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on what day you got in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody started at a little bit staggering time. The way I've got that set up in the autoresponder is that you get an email almost every day up until you hit number 3, and then it kind of comes to where it's on Monday you get another one, and then it has 1 or 2 through the week, and then you get the next module on the next Monday. That way it keeps everybody on a certain time schedule. I didn't want people getting a brand new module like on Thursday evening or something. I kind of wanted it to be fresh for Monday so that they got to, move through it throughout the week. So you're probably just on 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm glad I'm going through it. It'll be fun to do some cannabis on that.
Oh, definitely so. And I will show you a couple of things here in just a moment. Let me get that up. Matter of fact, I don't know if you've seen any of these multiplications that I've been working with lately, but look at the shoots that are growing on those monsteras. Isn't that beautiful?
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And these were put in about a month and a half ago. Let me turn to the other side of the jar. You can see there's probably 25 shoots growing off of this thing. Doesn't even have any roots yet. All it is multiplication on shoots. Yeah, it's really
Okay.
Once it comes to the multiplication, it's fun seeing how many plants you can make out of a single cutting or out of a single plant. And cannabis is super easy. Yeah. Now I've got to tell you, if you're doing cannabis, do you have any seeds to work with?
Oh yeah, I got plenty of seeds.
Okay, look, going from
I probably got 100 seeds.
Well, going from seed is actually easier than going from a cutting or growing from a plant. So because it germinates in vitro.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and that's module number 5. Module number 5 is in vitro seed germination, and I'll show you right now. Let me pull one up. I think I've got it. Heck, I think I've got it right here in this. Let me take a look, see if this is the right test. Not wrong batch. Give me just a moment. Yeah, you're gonna love it though. Right here, in this one here. Should be. Yeah. Okay, do you remember we were talking about the lupinum, the lupine?
Yep, lupine, yep.
Okay, look at that now.
Jeez.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just
that was fast.
It's just a mass of material. I did these live in the classroom. Look, here's another one. Look at that big old knot of material.
Yep.
That's beautiful. Yep. Oh, the very first one, the class before that. So this one is from February, and there's probably 25 plants in there.
Sure.
Yeah, off of one
So
seed.
how long do they typically take before you can take them out and plant them?
Oh, I could plant these now if I wanted to. Really, it depends on the plant as to if it's a seed. It's as soon as it germinates. You can take it out as soon as it germinates and go ahead and plant it up. You just want to make sure that you keep it in a humidity dome of some sorts, because it has been, just like any other TC plant, it's been growing in 100% humidity. So you want to kind of acclimate that off. Yes, but as soon as it has a viable root, or a tap root or anything at all, it's ready to go into the soil and plant up. I have these growing in vitro specifically for the class. I'm able to, well, it's taken me a little bit of time to get all of the video content done, to tell you the truth. Yeah, even the top YouTube people only put out 1 video a week. I'm over here trying to put out 5 videos a week. And yeah, it's kind of rough. So some of these I'm having to stagger a little bit. I'm holding on to a little bit longer so that you can see the stages of progression, because you don't want to just watch me put things in. You want to see the progression. That's one thing. as someone
Yeah.
who, I believe I've watched just about every single TC video that's known to man on YouTube. And there's a lot of things that they leave out. There's a whole lot of things that you never see. You don't
Yeah.
ever get to see the updates. You don't see the different progresses that it goes through. You see them put things in, and then maybe a year later they'll say, oh yeah, all these plants over here, that's from that. But they never show you what actually happened. Yes.
Oh, that's a setup to fail.
It is. Well, what it is because they're just learning. Look, when you look at the ages of the people that are making the videos, it's real easy to see. They don't know. They're just doing it for the first time, and they're doing it on camera for you. So, yeah, they can show you how to put things in, but to show you the progress and the process is a whole nother thing. That's why all the way from seed germination through the multiplication phase, through subdividing and transferring to new media, all the way to adding it to a rooting hormone to where you get a big mass of roots. All of that is stuff that you're going to see in this course. And because of that, I believe it will be the most in-depth TC course that is out there, period. I've just not seen any more. I did go ahead and purchase, I went on Udemy and I went on, what was it, Skillshare. Skillshare and Udemy, and I bought a couple of the courses that were from each platform that were anywhere from $50 to $150 each, because I wanted to know what material they're giving you. And most of them, it's like an hour's worth of video maximum, and it walks you through a slideshow. That's about it. So I said, man. Exactly. And I thought, you know what? If I'm spending real money, I mean, look, I'm a regular old, red-blooded American over here that just makes a regular wage. I've never, just had money to just throw out the door to an education that I wasn't going to get. If I'm paying to learn something, I want to learn that, not just have a collection of, exactly. And I would imagine that other people are the same way. And when they come into the questions, well, what do I do at this stage? What do I do with this type of plant? There should be someone there to ask. I mean, if you went to a university, you would ask your professor. And he should be able to answer that question. Right. So the way I look at it is, if you're going to pay me for education, I'm going to make sure that, first of all, I'm very thorough in the content. Second of all, I want to make sure that I can hold your hand through that process, answer any question that you could possibly have in a timely manner, and then give you a live demonstration to show that it's not just words.
Yep.
There you are.
And we know how to find you.
That's it, and you know how to find me. And that's one of the reasons I created this Discord, and the reason that I put the lab in this Discord. I wanted all of you folks to be able to have that place to come to. This is like open office hours. If you have a question, this is the time to do it. If you want not hands-on, but a live demonstration on how to do any portion of what it is that you're working on in this course, you should be able to do that, and I should be able to show you during these types of sessions. So now, without further ado, let me ask some of these other folks out there, because we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in here in the room. Does anyone out there happen to have any questions before I actually get to rocking and rolling on what we're going to be working on tonight? Just try not to talk over each other. Going once, going twice. Okay. If not, I would like to ask you to keep your microphone muted while we're doing this, just so that it doesn't get caught up with outside noises and everything else while we're going forward. Now, what I'm going to be doing today is I have ordered a couple of different TCs that I got from Vietnam. They came from Vietnam. This one here is an Alocasia scalprum, a little 5-pack of them. And this is Homolamina rubescens. And we are going to put these into a multiplication media today. Now, I've already prepared the multiplication media because I generally stay ahead of that. I've got probably 200 vials up there and probably a dozen jars already made up for this type of work because I'm continuously doing it. However, these are going to be the new plants that we put into multiplication, and hopefully in about 6 to 9 months, we have enough of them that I can actually have a saleable amount. If any of you guys have ever gone out and looked and searched for bulk amounts of tissue cultures. You can usually find them in a 5 or a 10 pack from some of these distributors online, and they're really not that expensive to get that way. Now, if you're going to turn around and resell them, you're not going to make a ton doing that. However, if you wanted to put these into multiplication and create a dozen jars of them, then you're talking a whole nother ball game, right? If you're looking for those holy grail plants, I mean, this is a red homolamina. I don't know if you guys have ever priced the homolaminas, but they're not inexpensive. And I've got 5 of them right here. If I just wanted to turn around and sell them, well, I might make $30, $35 a plant. That's not fantastic, but I would much rather turn it into 5 or 10 or 12 jars full of them that each one has 15 to 20 plants in that jar. So that's what we are working towards today. And what that would look like is, well, here's some red emeralds right now. Well, hell, I'm losing my parafilm. Here's some red emeralds right now with about 10 growing in this jar. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing right tonight. Now that looks a little bit funny in there. Oh, okay, never mind, it's just the light. All right, so I've got some jars already made up. Now all we're gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through the process of how I do this when I do it. The very first thing we're gonna do, the very first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna pull out a beaker, and I generally use one of this size. This is a 500 milliliter beaker. I give it a good generous spray with alcohol, just to kill off anything that might be sitting on the outside of it. Then I use a product called Physan. Physan is a viricide, bactericide, fungicide, and biocide, basically. It's a sanitizer. I put 10 milliliters per gallon into a jug of water, just like this, of distilled water. And what I'll do now is fill up this beaker, probably about 2/3 of the way. And this is going to create a little sterilizing bath that I will use. I'm going to put that inside the still air box. Just a moment. That's step 1. Now, for those of you who have watched any of my videos or followed me on any of this stuff before, you've probably seen this process, and it is very repetitive. However, it is something that you need to learn. Next up, what did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Woo. Okay, 91% alcohol is the next one. No, where did it go? Okay, now I've got a small beaker here, and there again, I'm going to hit it with some 70% alcohol on the outside because it's been sitting on the outside. And then I'm going to fill this thing up about 2/3 of the way with 91% alcohol. And set that inside of the still air box. Okay, I've already got my tool sterilizer on. It's been on for roughly an hour. Next step, we got to spray the hands really, really well. All the way up the forearms to make sure we don't have any epithelials that drop off and fall down and cause a bacterial contamination. Next is gloves. You got to don the gloves. This is the PPE, the personal protective equipment. And I've got powder-free nitrile gloves I'll be putting on. I finally got some that fit because I had a size too small on my last box, but by golly, I'm a cheapskate, so I just wouldn't go buy another one until I ran out of that box. All right. We have donned the gloves. Now we're good on the gloves. Next up is a face mask. Although I'm working in a still air box, I still prefer to use a mask just to keep the bacteria where it belongs, in my mouth. Okay, next up, spray the gloves. Everything gets sprayed, guys, sprayed and wiped. I'm gonna flip over to the split cam. Well, you know what, before that, we're gonna spray down our specimen bags. And one by one, I'm gonna set them both in there at the same time. Let them sit there and be evaporating. Again, we've got Alocasia scalprum. And we've also got, oh heck, I forget what it is. I'll have to look at it in just a moment. Okay, they are inside the box. Everything's zipped up and cleaned up. I've got all moving air off in the room so that there's nothing floating around. I have sanitized the room prior to this. Once I'm done with this demonstration, I will walk you through a sanitization process that you probably are unaware of. I've not spoken about it anywhere, I've not written about it anywhere, and I've not seen anybody else document this, but it is something that I personally do before I work every single time. Oh, the Scalprum are beautiful. Yes, they are. Okay, we are going to get to work. Let me flip over to the split cam. Here you are. You can see me and you can see inside the hood. Spray my gloves one more time and get to work. Okay, here we go. Now you should be able to see, yep, you can see my hands. We're good. We are good. We're not going to reach over the work surface. We're going to keep that back here. Here I have the Physan solution. Right here I've got the alcohol solution. Our tools are up here in the sterilizer, already hot. First thing I'm going to do is come over here and pull my scissors out and cut the top of this bag. All right, put them back into the sterilizer. This is Homolamina rubescens. Make sure you can see it all. You should be able to, okay. Now I'm going to cool off my forceps in the alcohol so that I don't burn my plants. All right, these are, when I go inside here, these are going directly into the solution. Directly into the Physan solution. And we're just going to mix them up. Swirl it around, swirl it around. Now why do I do that? Physan deteriorates and breaks down agar. It will do that for you. So it kind of helps clean all of their media off of the plants. At the same time, it's a biocide, fungicide, and viricide. So it cleans it. Now we're going to let it sit there for just a moment, not too terribly long. All right. Because all we're doing is just trying to get that crud off. Now I've got a clump here, a big clump, and I'm not sure if it's stuck together with the gel or if it is just grown together in the bag where it needs to be separated. But we'll find that out in just a moment. All right. I'm going to start setting these out onto my workstation. Before I do that, I'm going to grab my 70% alcohol. I'm going to spray this stuff down just to make sure that there's nothing else that's going to get anything. I'm going to start pulling these guys out to see what we're working with. There's one. So if you happen to buy TCs, all right, there's that big wad. We're going to have to work with that. It looks like it's still just come right straight out of multiplication from the lab. And I don't see anything extra floating around. That's good. At this point, I'm going to put these into the sterilizer, pull out my next set of forceps. Actually, I'm probably going to need both sets, to tell you the truth. Both sets of forceps right here. Because we've got this massive material that we need to go through. We need to see what's here. It does look like, yeah, looks like they've kind of grown together right straight out of multiplication. So we are going to tear it apart ourselves. We're just going to grab a mass and pull it apart. Now let's take a good look at that. That looks like it's one plant, but it's not. It's multiple plantlets growing together right there. You just have to find where you can pull it apart and where you can't without damaging it. All right. Take a good look at that. Sometimes it's hard to see. Like this one's got roots right here. And see, I can subdivide that. Matter of fact, we are going to subdivide that. That's exactly what we're going to do. Okay. In order to do that, I'm going to pull out my scissors. I'm going to cool them off in the alcohol solution. There we are. And cut right in the center. There we are. We now have two plants. And I'm going to leave that. Actually, well, looky there. There's another one. There is another one. See, that's the beauty of buying some of these things overseas. They came straight from the lab like that. We got an extra plant. Isn't that nice? It looks like there might be something extra here. No, that's one plant. Okay, next step. Remove all of your little yellow leaves. Just set them off to the side. Now remember, you're never putting your hands over your work surface. If you'll notice, my hands stay behind the work surface the entire time. And once I finish a plant, I'll move it off to the side so that I don't cross over it again. And that kind of just helps me. Now here's another one right there. I could probably pull this plantlet apart. And I did. We've got a whole nother plantlet right there. 2 of them. Looky there. A whole nother one. Separated that out. We got extra plantlets, guys. Extra plantlets. This is subdividing. Straight. Now this is, I mean, they don't normally sell them to you like that. I'll tell you that. Most of the time they're pretty on point when it comes to what they're sending you. But this one looked like they just took a ball out of multiplication and sent it. And although it has roots, it also has multiple plantlets that are growing. So what we're going to do is separate some of these plantlets. All right, we got another one. Look at that. Now this one, I think we're going to leave. Nope, oh, I can get one more. If you'll remember, that little pack said it was a 5-pack. I just got another one right there. There's 2 of them here. There we go. We've already got it up to 10 or 12 plants. And this one, I'm going to leave it alone. Alright, we've done that. I got to take some yellow leaves off of this one. And we do that just to kind of see what we're working with later. Those yellow leaves won't hurt anything at all. They're just a yellow leaf, some of the older leaf material. But it lets us know what's good and what has gone bad since we put it in. Let's see, I'm working with these 2 pair of forceps, and I've got 1 pair that grabs real well and 1 pair that don't. Okay. I think we're going to leave that just like it is. They don't really have enough root material that I'm going to worry about this. If they had any longer roots than what they have, I would take the root material off completely. But they really don't have much, and I'm already traumatizing the hell out of them, tearing them apart. So we're going to stop like that. All right, we got all the yellow leaves, and we've got multiple plants growing. Now at this point, what I like to do, I've got everything separated and looking good. I will dip them into the 91% alcohol before they go into a jar. And I may not have enough jars sitting here ready. I thought we were going to do fewer plants than this. All right, I'm going to rinse these off to make sure I don't have any plant matter on them. Stick them back into the sterilizer. I'll stick these into the 91% alcohol for a minute and let them sit. Put my scissors back in the sterilizer. And now, here we are. Always spray your jar down really well up underneath that rim, because that's where anything will land. Now remember, I've got this facing this way, and I should never face it any other way unless it's back toward myself, because you don't want any moving air, which there shouldn't be moving air, but you really don't want anything like that to hinder what you're working with. While we're sitting here waiting, I'm going to put these guys back into the Physand solution for the most part, some of these larger ones, just because I don't want them sitting out collecting anything that might be floating around. I'd rather they be sitting in a aqueous solution instead of sitting out in the open air inside the box. That way I only have a few to mess with at a time. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3. That's all garbage. Got 4 plantlets to work with. I could take that little yellow leaf off, but I'm going to leave it. Okay, I'm going to put those 4 plants into this jar. One hand, I'm going to set that right off to the right hand side. Alright, let's go just like this. I'm going to pick up the plantlet. I'm going to dip it into the 91% alcohol. And I'm going to come right, whoop, I dropped it. Right down in there, put it in the gel, make sure it's standing up. Go to our next plant, give it a little dip, take it right into the gel. Next plantlet. And I'm just rotating the jar with each plantlet so that I'm always working on the bottom of the gel. And it's just a dip and a poke. All right, that's that jar. We got 4 plantlets in that one jar. We put the lid back on and move it to the left. Okay, next up, I'm gonna pull out a few more here to work with. They've been getting cleaned in our little solution there. Yeah, we'll stick with 4, why not? 4 is a good number. Okay, we're gonna spray these bad dudes down. Make sure we don't have anything that's gonna fall off inside our jar. All right. Go right off to the side. And a dip. A dipply-do. All right. And a turn. Dip. And a turn. Alright, one more to go. Alright, we've got all of them in. Put that jar right back on top. There we are. 2 jars of Homolamina rubescens at the time. Got one more. Get these guys out of here. Let's see what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heck, pretty good. Pretty good counting there. Okay, let's spray this down. I do go through quite a bit of alcohol, in case you're noticing there. Oh, looky there, almost got ahead of myself. Pop the top on that jar, set it off to the side. Alright, now it's got a little bit of root material in that one. Give it a rinse. Stick it directly down in. Oh, looky there, it got stuck to my forceps. Good Lord, that's the one that gave me trouble. Alright, oh hell. Looky there, I'm gonna wash that one off again. Get back in there. Sometimes they give you a little trouble. There we go. Got so many leaves on it, it's sticking to my forceps is what's happening. And turn. And a little poke. Ah, see what's happening to me there? Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they will stick to the surface there. Give it another dip. And there we go. Nice little stick on that one. And a dip. And a stick. Get that one back out of there. You know what? I don't like that at all. Let's pull that off of there. There we go. Get right back. I probably damaged that little root system a little bit with my forceps a while ago. Probably what that was. Okay, and stick. 4 in there. There we go. We just made 12 out of a 5-pack, guys. There is that right there. Okay, before I get to the next one, I will clean this off. I'm going to pull this out. Give me just a minute. Alright, I gotta wipe off my old sweaty head because it is hot in here with no moving air. Just a minute. I'm gonna change gloves because of that. Anytime you have to wipe sweat or do any of that kind of stuff, be sure and change your gloves. Don't keep working with the same glove material. You never know what kind of funkiness is gonna be going on there. Alright, coming back to you. I'm going to put new gloves on. Woo, I hope you guys are having fun watching this so far. It's a quick process and it's repetitive. We will do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But that's how you learn, and that's how you get better, and that's how you get faster, is by doing it over and over and over again. Alright. Now I've got to clean that. I don't like working on the same dirty tray. Let me get that. Boom, boom, boom. Clean that off. I'm going to spray this down real well with some 70% alcohol. And we're going to put it right back in. And we should be great. There's no moving air in here whatsoever. Okay. Rocking and rolling. Going to spray ourselves down. About to get started again. Next up, we've got the Alocasia scalprum, and it appears, yeah, I do have some jars for that. I don't know if I have any, yeah, I've got jars for that. You know what, as a matter of fact, I don't have any jars tall enough for that. I'm going to have to use some test tubes because they're prepared. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Let me flip back over to the cam. Okay, now you can see us both, and we're going to work. We're going in. Here we are. Alright, we've got our Alocasia scalprum here. I'm going to pull the scissors again. Oh, let me put these in to sterilize. We'll use the other forceps when we begin. See, even opening these, I opened them in the still air box. Never have they seen open air whatsoever. Alright, cool them off in my alcohol. And it's time to remove them. We put them right straight from the package. Right straight from the package into our Physane solution so that they never are exposed to any surface before they are exposed to just an aqueous solution. Here we are. And it appears like I've got a little tiny plantlet that fell off in the baggie. I'm going to set it right here for now. We might be able to use that. Okay. Next up, same process. Give it a twirl. Just to get all that old gel off, whatever they're using. We don't want it there. If there's any bacteria, if there's any mold or fungi that's in there or on the plant, this Physane should take care of that, theoretically. And I can tell by the look of this Physane that that junk has some stuff in it. And I'll show you that when we're done. Alright, now we are going to go to test tube this time. We move these out of the way. Alright, test tubes. Spraying it down. Let me grab a couple of them out of here so I don't have to keep reaching over. That was a 5-pack, so I'm going to spray down 5 of these guys. Normally I would have had these sitting right there in the test tube holder, but I'm kind of out of space at the moment, if you guys will notice what I'm working with here. Kind of out of space. Alright, we're going to start with this one here. I'm going to open that thing up. Ooh, come on now. Oh, they're stuck together. Come on. Alright. Oh, heck. Okay. This is, now that I'm on camera in front of people, it's going to give me some hell. Alright, give me just a moment. Put that lid on. I don't want to leave that open. Got them tangled up. Here we are. Pull out these other forceps, cool them off. You have to separate them. Look at that. Easy to separate once I just pulled out a second set. They just didn't want me doing it in front of y'all. That's exactly what it was. The powers that be said, oh no, it can't go smoothly when you're on camera, sir. That's exactly what happened. Okay, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There they are. Put these back in, and we're going to do it. They've already been soaking. We're going to set these out. I'm going to grab it by the base. Give it another dip. Give it a little dip at the base there. And right directly into our media. Remember, this media is a multiplication hormone. All right, back again. I'm gonna give it a dip. Give it a dip from the alcohol. And see, there's stuff in the alcohol as well, so you can tell there was multiple things going on here. All right, come on, gel. There you are. Pretty easy there. Next up.
Chris, we lost video.
Oh, that's you. Hop out and hop back in.
Ah.
Yeah, sometimes these Discord calls you'll lose video or sound. It's generally, if you lost it, it's probably you. Okay, give it a dip in the alcohol. Right straight down into the media. All right. Dip it down in the alcohol and down into the media. All right, there we are. We have done. There you are. Okay. Woo! Now we're back with you. I'm going to take this off. Whew. That is the bulk of the work there. Now we come to the easy part. When you remove it, look, you grab it with one hand, go to the other, and pull it all off in one little knot. Just in case you have some funkiness on your glove, you never touched it with your bare hand. And I got to wipe off the funkiness on my face now. Woo! Because it is hot in this room with no moving air whatsoever. All right. Got that, and that is done. Next part of the process, and there is another part to this process. There is another part to this process. Unzip the thing, the still air box, pull all your specimen out. Here we are. Okay. Now this is one of the most important parts, guys. One of the most important parts. Here we have a roll of parafilm. This is just a roll of, well, it's like a little plastic tape, kinda. It's saran wrap's what it is. But anyway, you'll do it just like you do Teflon tape. You'll start to unroll it on the back side here, and then you're gonna wrap it against itself. I use my thumb to hold it, wrap it around 2 to 3 times, just pull it tight and it comes right off. And you do that to seal each one of your containers, and that keeps them airtight and keeps anything that is floating around in your air out of your specimens. So they have never been opened to open air. They've never been exposed to anything other than the still air box, which I cleaned with bleach and alcohol just prior to starting the video. The container or the baggies were opened inside the still air box. There's no moving air, and if you'll notice, my hand movement is minimal inside the still air box. I don't do a whole lot that's not within that few inches of space of where my hands are. They don't move all over the still air box. I'm not doing things just reaching around everything. Everything is pretty well right in hand's grasp and easy to get hold of. So okay, I've now sealed all of my test tubes. Now I'm going to go to my jars. I've got 3 jars to seal, and we're going to do the same process. Just wrap it against itself 2 or 3 times. Set it down. Now I do like to do this as fast as possible because you know, the longer that it's not sealed airtight, or the longer that little lip is exposed, the more chances of a contaminant floating in and sticking to it. Now you guys saw those homolamina rubescents. I did not expect them to break down into 12 plantlets, which is awesome. It was supposed to be a 5-pack. All right, and next up, all you've got to do is label your containers. That's it. Label your containers and set them off on a shelf to incubate at room temperature. You know, they like it about 72 to 78 degrees and about a 16-hour photo period, just like almost any other vegetative plant. So now that you guys have seen that, that is the process. All I've got to do now is set them up on the shelf and let them sit there for the next couple of months and do their thing. Here in about 4 to 6 weeks, I'll change the media and move them to fresh multiplication media. Generally, I'm going to go through 2 to 3 changes of media before it's time to go to a rooting hormone, only because I want to build a supply of them that's enough to, well, you saw the ball that they came from. I would like a ball like that in every jar, right? I want a ball that looks like that in every jar, and it's just a big cluster of plantlets. They don't even have roots. If you look at these, they don't even have roots on the little plantlets. They're just little plantlets. You know, there's some root hairs, but there's no real root cluster. I put four little plantlets in each one of these jars. Each one of these jars. So we ended up with a total of 12. Look, these are nice size too. These are real nice size. So there's 4 plantlets. We ended up with 12 of the Homolamina rubescens. And that is how I go about cleaning and multiplying plants that I purchase in TC.
I'm not going to buy an autoclave, so I'm going to be sterilizing them in the pressure cooker, right?
Yes. Yes.
So how do I get it from the pressure cooker into the tent without exposing them to air?
Let me show you. I've got the answer right in front of me. This is the ticket right here. Some good old Reynolds slow cooker liners. They're just oven bags is basically all they are. If you will line your pressure cooker with this and put all of your jars or containers inside this, you can cook them in the bag. It doesn't deform the bag. And then you can carry them from your kitchen to your lab area. And you can open it up inside your still air box if you like. I open it up right here next to it and put it in. But I also make sure that my area is sterile. Now, how do I do that? You guys haven't asked me yet, but I'm going to show you. This is the ultimate way. First of all of the surfaces on any, because I don't work in here every day, but I do work in here, 1 or 2 days a week, for several hours at a time getting things done. Anytime that I go to work in this room, I will always bleach everything. Now, I've kept an old bottle of just some multi-purpose cleaner, but all I do is I pour my 10 to 20% bleach solution into this, and I clean every surface, walls, ceilings, countertops, inside the still air box, outside the still air box. And believe it or not, even if I do it twice a week, that paper towel will be brown. Yes, there is enough dust and dirt floating around in the air that will be brown every time I do it. So I do that on the day that I work, and then about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours before I come into the lab to actually work, this is the ticket that all of you guys need to see, because I've not seen anybody talk about it, but it's been working for me for years. And this is it right here. Does anybody know what this is? This device? I'm betting not. This is an ozone generator. Okay, you can pick a cheap one up for like $39. This one's probably about an $80 model, and it cleans 6,000 square feet at a time. Okay, what I do is I put this into the room, I turn this on to 120 minutes, and I shut the doors, shut the windows, and walk out. That's it. You cannot be in the room when this is going on. Ozone is a chemical that is hazardous to your health, very much so. And all it is oxygen with 3 oxygen molecules attached to it. However, it sterilizes everything in the area completely. Molds, viruses, bacterias, fungi, all of that kind of stuff. If I learned about this years ago when I was in construction. This is a device that we would use for remodeling, right? When we would go into a house that had a lot of smokers, or they had a lot of animals or something, and we needed to do a rehab on the house. You take this in there, it deionizes the air and completely cleans every part of it. Now, if you're in a place that's had years and years of animal urine or something, you might have to run it twice. And that's it. It's clean. Like, there's no more smell. There's no more nothing. The air's clean. The surfaces are good. It goes in and pulls the air. It pushes air with ozone, this chemical called ozone, through the entire room, right? And it'll fill up that whole room. I can smell this. When I run this up here, I can smell it downstairs. And it's a real faint smell. It just smells clean. Next thing you know, I'm starting to have mucal problems, right? I can, my nose will start to feel a little funny, I'll get a little tight in my chest because it is affecting you, right? It really is. Now I've got a powerful unit. You don't have to have one that's that powerful. As a matter of fact, do not have it in any room that has plants or you will kill your plants. It's that powerful, but it will sterilize your laboratory. The best way of sterilizing your laboratory, if you have the means of obtaining it, is formic acid. Okay, formic acid is amazing when you add a little bit of water to it and then boom, all of a sudden, or add a little peroxide to it, it'll make a gas that fumigates the entire room. And there's nothing that's going to be alive in there, including you if you're hanging out in that room. However, most of us don't have access to formic acid. So this is the next best thing, and it's called an ozone generator. And you can pick them up. Yeah, you can pick them up on Amazon. You can pick them up on Temu. You can pick them up just about everywhere. A lot of people buy the smaller units to put inside used cars. Like if they sell cars or flip cars, they'll put it inside of a car to knock out the pet or the smoke smell, and it does knock it out. So that's what I use to keep this room pretty sterile and sanitized. Do I have any questions on that? I'm guessing not. Okay, well, this is the Q&A session. If there is anything else that you guys would like to ask questions about on the particular module that you're on, if you're doing anything that you don't understand, if there's anything that you'd like to ask about the course at all, I would love to answer those questions. I have tried to be thorough with all of the videos. I've tried to be thorough with the PDFs, which, by the way, I have stopped doing PDFs and I've started putting links to my working files because they're being updated. As I go back and read them as the weeks have been going by, I have found that maybe I left out a little information in this one. Maybe I could have expanded on that one. You guys know that there for a little while when our electricity was out, I was trying to get stuff out to you. But at the same time, I didn't realize that maybe I wasn't as thorough as I should have been. So I've been going back through those, making sure that they are what they should have been. Making sure that all of the information's there, all the links are there, the videos are good, current, up to date, all of that kind of stuff. So if there are any questions, I would love to help you with them. If there's anything that I haven't covered that you've wondered about, I'm happy to help you with any of that as well. Here's a little tip for you. If you're doing just putting plants in and it's the first time and you know that you're going to be transferring out of those vessels, use masking tape for your labels. If you're using the thermal labels, you can't hardly get them off. Yeah, you can't hardly get them off to reuse the vessel, and you'll spend more time washing off your marker or washing off the the old residue from the label than you will actually using the vessel. So nowadays, I pretty well just use masking tape to put it on there. I can just peel it off when it's done because I'll be done with these vessels in 4 to 6 weeks when I go to transfer. It won't be until they're in the final sale vessel that they'll need an actual printed label on them. So until then, they're just going to have masking tape on it, and it's a lot easier. Now, if you are using an adhesive of any kind, like you're using one of those thermal labels, let me show you what I use for that, because there is a handy dandy trick. Oh, let's see if I've got it in here. Oh, you know what? I'm betting it's in the kitchen. Yeah, I'm betting it's in the kitchen. If you are using any kind of adhesive label and you want to get that adhesive label off, the easiest way is WD-40. Oh yeah, WD-40. Spray it on the glass or spray it on your polypropylene, and it makes it come right off. It also dissolves the marker. It helps you wipe that right off as well. And then you can hit it with the soap afterwards and knock off that greasy residue. But that's the best way that I have found to use and reuse these containers. You guys know these containers are not inexpensive. We keep buying them and buying them and buying them. I know I buy the test tubes by the 500. Do I have any left in here? Heck, I think I might be out. Yeah, I think, well, I don't know. I've got one bag left. I got one bag of about 150 left, but I buy these by the 500 to work with. But I still don't want to just throw them away. Once you're done, with that batch, it's a lot easier to be able to wash them, clean them. I just throw them back in the pressure cooker for another 20 or 30 minutes or so, and then they're good. And once you fill them back up and autoclave them again, you know they're really good. So that is the process that I go through, folks, and we're going to keep up with that. You guys watched me today. Today is March the 22nd, and we just split the Alocasia scalprum and the Homolamina rubescens. These containers will be dated with the 22nd, and as we go over the next few weeks and months, you guys will see the documented progress that they go through before they're actually sale ready. I think this will help you guys understand what you should see when you put things in. I'm also going to stress this. If you just did your very first initiation, you just cut your explant, you sterilized, and then you put it into initiation, it does take longer than it does if you're working with a plant that's already in TC. That's just part of the process. That's why I also order plants. There's no possible way I could have a business if I didn't order plants as well, because that means I would have to be buying these plants in its mature form and then just chopping them up, sticking them in, and hoping everything works. When you're cutting an explant, doing a surface sterilization, and then putting it into culture, you're probably looking at about a 70% success rate if you're really good. Okay, a 70% success rate. Don't let anybody tell you that it's going to be any higher than that. It's not going to be any higher than that. You're going to lose plants. That's just part of it. I would much rather be able to order some of these plants that I can get for not near as expensive in TC as it would be to buy the mature plant. And then I can just go and, because I already know it's sterile, it's already growing, and then multiply it from there. It does take a little bit out of that process for you time-wise. So if you're planning on growing an inventory, that is a faster way of doing it. So, okay, once again, I am open for questions if anybody's got any at all right now. Let's see who I've got in here. I've got Elia, I've got John, I've got Rosalie, Mina, and Serena. All right. Well, if that's it and there are no... Oh, well, I've got some comments going on. Maybe you guys are typing to me. Let me see what's happening up here in the comments. Scalpum's pretty... Okay. Where's the fun in that? The guessing game later. I love that. Yes, an ozone generator, Elia. Oh, if you left the roots on when you transferred, that's not that bad. The reason that we cut the roots off is the roots will harbor more of your fungal contamination than any other part of the plant. And in truth, when you are just initiating a plant, they don't really need the roots. They're not uptaking the nutrients the same way. You've got it in gel, right? So that gel doesn't allow it to absorb through the root the same way that a liquid would, or the way it would get it from soil. So we just cut those roots off. Now, if you got them in TC and you're just putting them into new media, it doesn't hurt to leave them on, especially if you're going to eventually end up selling those, okay? You want roots on them. And I've walked a few people through that. If you're just trying to get them ready to sell, you definitely want to leave the roots on. If you're just trying to multiply the material, you just don't need the roots. That's all. Yeah, and they should already be sterile. See, you came in very late, so you'll have to watch the recording. Yes, Rosalie, that's okay. I did record it in two different views. I recorded our actual Discord screen, and then I also recorded it where it's just the educational part of it, where it's just the single, the single screen, and they'll both be posted on two different platforms. The one that we do here in Discord that has all the different people asking the questions and all of that, I generally make that only available to the Patreon supporters because the Patreon supporters want that behind the scenes. That's part of it. This is the real deal behind the scenes stuff. It's where you get to ask the questions, and some of the Patreon supporters are not Discord members, right? So they would like to have access to this, whereas the people that I give access to just the video, all they get is me and the screens, right? That's all. So there will be a recording for you to watch. You can rewatch this as well. But it was an interesting session. I don't normally show people the process of cleaning a TC that I purchased from someone else, just because it really muddies my message to the public. For me, I mean, I do my own work, and I don't want people to ever get that confused and think that I just plant flip, because that's not at all what I do with my TCs. And I like to make sure that's clear in the public eye. However, with you guys, y'all understand that a TC has to come from somewhere. I mean, it has to originally come from somewhere. So for me, it's a lot easier and sometimes less expensive or more economical to order a small batch of TCs and then just multiply that batch out. Now this batch is a little bit different. Let me see what I put in here, because I'm not even sure, because that was not my standard mix. Oh, this one I used, let me see what I wrote on here. The adenine sulfate and 2IP. Those are two different multiplication hormones that I don't normally use, but I had small batches of them because they came they came in an order that I was ordering from overseas. They shipped some hormones for me to try out, so I made a batch with that. I normally would just use 6-BAP and a little bit of IBA generally. Once we go to rooting, I usually switch over and use a little bit more NAA, which is naphthalene acetic acid, and I get a little bit better results with that. But I had never used the 2IP in conjunction with Endo-3 acetic acid, which is IAA, and that's what I used in this particular mix. So we're going to see what works better and how well this particular mixture works.
Hey, so what if you don't have a room to, like you do, a room just for that?
I generally tell people to use a bathroom. And the reason I say...
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, because it's a small room, and although you think about it being a dirty room, really people's bathroom is one of the cleanest rooms in their house. They clean it more than they clean the other rooms. Your kitchen has all kinds of funky stuff from the foods that you cook, floating around in the air, stuck to the curtains and everything else. Whereas your bathroom really doesn't have much. The most it will have is a little bit of mold or mildew from heavy excess humidity in there. But most of us understand how to let a room air out and breathe and don't have that issue. So as long as you don't have any mold or mildew growing in your bathroom, that's probably the cleanest area that has a nice hard surfaces to work on. You should have some sort of little countertop or a sink area where you can work from. You really don't need a big area either. You just want to make sure that you're cleaning it well before you work in the room, and then you're going to maintain the aseptic technique. And when I say that, all I mean is put your mask on, put your gloves on. I like to put my lab coat on because it's a long sleeved item, so it keeps anything from my arms falling off. If you'll notice, when I reach into the still air box, my skin very rarely comes out of that little sleeve on the still air box, even on the inside. I try to keep it to where I'm not putting any more pressure. I'm really just working right here. I'm not trying to reach far in and do this business. I'm just trying to stay right here and work. If you've got your tray here, you can move your hands back and forth on this side of it all you want to. You never want to reach over your work surface. Okay, that's where you'll have things fall down onto your work surface. You never want to open a jar and face it that way because air moving this way will land in. You never want to have your jar sitting just upright, because anything that you're doing over it drops directly in. If you'll notice what I do when I'm working, they're always turned on an angle, slightly up but sideways, and I'm working directly in, just like this. And I come and I work on that bottom edge, and then I will rotate in my hand and put the next specimen in, rotate in my hand, put the next specimen in. Only because I always want to be working on the bottom so that so nothing can actually fall down in, because you will lose skin cells and everything else that fall in. And the way you know is when you end up with some red, orange, or yellow growth inside your media. Those are bacteria, and generally in a still air box, if there's bacteria growing, it came from you. Because there's nothing else alive in there. If I have worked where it was just a tub, just like one of those clear tubs turned sideways, to where I'm working in that as a still air box when I first started this, and I may lose a beard hair or something falls off of your mustache or beard. Hey, your beard and mustache grow some funky things in a petri dish, let me tell you. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was good. I did have another one, but I can't think of it right now.
Oh, but yes, as far as your working area, you just want to find a small area that you can keep clean for at least during that time period. Turn off all of your moving air. So if you've got a fan going, turn it off. If you've got central heating and air, Just turn that off while you're doing your work. You don't want any air pushing anything into your media. You remember, the moment that you open that media, it's over. That's it. You want to get that thing opened and closed as fast as possible, because you have created a nutrient-rich media that everything on earth wants to live in. It loves the temperature, it loves the nutrients that are in here, and it's made of sugar. Everything likes to grow on sugar. Yeast, molds, bacterias, viruses, everything right here on sugar. So the moment that you open that thing, be as fast as you can, and then close it back up. And if you'll notice what I did, I've got something to show you, because this is something that nobody ever really gets to see. So you saw the process of washing the stuff off in the Fizan. Now look at that liquid. See all that floaties in there? This is stuff that came off of that. That's broken down gel matter and plant matter and everything else that's in that Fizan. So that's why and that's why I use the Fizan, because it does break that stuff down. Now, after that, you saw me thoroughly wash that around. Then I came and I rinsed in the alcohol. And I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's floaties in the alcohol, top and bottom.
Yeah, I can see it.
There you go. So even after a couple of washes, swishes, and rinses, there's still funkiness that comes off of the plants. And this is plants that came from supposedly sterile environments. So this just goes to show you, even when you're clean, there's still some funkiness. Even when everything looks good, it may not be good. That's why I go through the pains of having the double rinse cycle. I do it in the Fizan first to swish it around and break all that gummy stuff off. And then this alcohol, that's 91% alcohol. I do that because if you've ever seen any mold or bacteria growing and you've just sprayed it with alcohol, it'll immediately knock it back. If it doesn't kill it, it immediately knocks it back. So after coming out of a biocide liquid like the Fizan, and then just giving it a dip in here and then straight into my solution, it buys me a little peace of mind. Now, the absolute worst thing that it could do is dry out the leaves a little bit. And I have had that happen to where the alcohol will start to kind of dry and dehydrate those leaves, that sensitive material, and I may lose those leaves that are originally there. I'm not really concerned about that because I'm not trying to sell that specimen. All I really need is that apical meristem and that little chunk at the bottom, right? As long as that thing stays healthy and clean, we're going to grow new leaves. We're going to grow new shoots. That's not a problem. Matter of fact, let me pull out a jar before we go. I'll show you one that started. Here we go. Here's another one. Let's see, this one. No. This one right here. I got two of them right here. Well, as a matter of fact, here's one. This is a great representation. Now, these are the same. They are both Monstera deliciosa giant form. But if you'll take a note, it was just a stump, and it started growing these new shoots and leaves. There you are. It didn't even have those. And then, this is some that were contaminated, and I cut them completely off. And there were two little chunks in here. And now we've got leaf growth and everything else on both of those chunks. So we're not worried. Oh, as a matter of fact, this one's got roots sprouting all down the bottom of it. Just goes to show you, as long as you're clean with your media, you don't need the roots, you don't need the shoots. You can cut all of that back and you can grow new. Worry not. Leaves will come and go.
I'm learning that.
Yes. Well, same thing when you ship a plant. I try to tell people all the time, leaves will come and go. When you stick a plant in the mail and it's in the dark for however long it is, and it goes through, 3 different temperature zones and all of that, and it goes from extreme heat to extreme cold, it throws that plant into shock, number one. Number two, it's probably dehydrated and dried out by the time it gets to where it's going. And it's probably going to lose a leaf or two. It doesn't mean that the plant's dead at all. It just means that it defoliated. Give it some water, give it some light, and give it 2 weeks, and you're generally looking at some new leaves.
That's
All right.
true.
Yes. All right, folks. Well, if there are no more questions, let me scroll down. I don't see any. Let's see. If you could create plants out of thin air, I recommend just skipping the TC. Oh, yeah, sure. Got a whole bunch of 2,4-D. Hopefully use that. Oh yes, if you've got 2,4-D, definitely hang on to that. We are going to be using 2,4-D when it comes to creating callus formation. Callus formation is key to mass micropropagation. I'll tell you, the module that's coming up on building a business out of TC starts with 2,4-D. It's one thing to be able to buy a plant and multiply that plant. You see how fast it grows? It's a couple of months and I've got probably 25 or 30 shoots growing off that plant. However, if I were to take that same material and create callus formation, callus material, I could subdivide that callus material into a dozen jars, and that is an unlimited supply of undifferentiated cells, okay? Just a clump of cells that you can then turn into millions and millions and millions of plants from now until the end of time. So callus formation, once you learn to make callus and then learn how to transition the callus to shoot proliferation, that's the golden ticket to mass production. So you definitely want to do that. I usually leave that as a lesson for later on, because it's not for a beginner to try. It takes a lot longer, and there are much more subdivisions when it comes to that. And every time you subdivide is where you come into the possibility of contamination. Every time you open those vessels, every time you open a flask, a jar, a test tube, or any of that, it's possible to get contamination. I personally go a little longer than I should on opening all that stuff sometimes, but that's because I sell the plants quicker than anything else. That I'm not worried about building a million of them. I just want to make what I'm making and get on with it. So, all right. Thank you guys very much for being here. I've appreciated your time, your energy, your effort, and your communication with me. I'll see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's morning's show, which is Monday morning. Yeah, Monday Madness. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. Have a good evening.